If you've been putting off getting your Volvo serviced, then like us, you'll be getting this message in the dash. Service overdue. Maybe you haven't had the time to book with your mechanic, or you're waiting for the payday. But with a few basic tools, you can save some money and service your Volvo yourself. And I'll even show you how to clear the service message when you're done. And this V60 is about to pass 70,000 kilometers, so we'll be giving it full service with all the parts you can see here. Let's get started by changing the oil. First I usually remove the oil cap as it lets the oil drain out a bit faster. And then I remove the engine cover here, which is held on by a load of Torx 30 screws. And of course you don't need a car lift to service your Volvo. It can be done with jack and jack stands as well, but it's easiest for us like this to show you what to do. And look at how many screws is on this cover. Plus there's also 2 clips, one here in the rear and another one in the front. And now it's time to open the oil plug. Be prepared to catch the oil that will come out and use some protective gloves. Be extra careful if the oil is hot, which in my case it's not. You really don't need a big oil pan like this one, a smaller one will work just fine. Keep the oil bottles when you refill the car later, and then you can use them to take them to the recycling. And here you can see our magnetic oil plug, and as you can see, it's great for picking up any small metal particles in the engine. I'll put a link to that in the description. Clean the oil plug up and then we can change the gasket. In all our service kits you get a service checklist with everything to inspect that you can do while the oil drains. For example, check the springs, bushings, wheel bearings and brakes. Stuff like that. Next, empty the oil filter. At the bottom there's a 6mm hex plug to drain the oil. A new O-ring for that is included, so let's change it. And put some oil on the new O-ring, that will make it slide more easily. And now we can remove the oil filter with the special oil filter tool. It fits perfectly over the oil filter holder. And if you have a tool like this for the older model, it's a bit annoying because this tool is just a couple of millimeters smaller, so you'll need this newer one. Pull out the old oil filter and push in the new one. It only fits one way. And then we can also change the O-ring that sits around the oil filter holder and put some oil around that O-ring as well to make it slide more easily when you put it back. Put in a new oil filter as well as tighten up the oil drain plug. And when we're done over here we can put the engine cover back. And I must say these clips are an improvement. Before you had to kind of balance it on your head to get it back. Or what do you think? And be careful with these screws, especially when using an electric screwdriver like me, because the nuts are made of plastic and can easily be damaged. Do you have any idea why Volvo added so many for this? Drop a comment down below. Don't forget to fill up the oil. I like these bottles with the pipe at the top, and these paper funnels are included in our oil kits to make it easier to pour. And if you're wondering how much oil you need, it says on all our oil kits on the website. This one needs 5.2 liters, so this bottle is 5 liters, and then we'll add a small 1 liter bottle for the little extra. And now it's time to change the fuel filter. It sits under this cover, which is held on by 2 Torx 25 screws, and then you remove this plastic like this. And under here we have 2 8mm screws that holds this little cover. However, you don't need to remove them completely, just enough so you can slide the cover to the side. And to release the fuel filter hoses, you pull and then push the clips onto the connectors. I'll show you a more close-up when we have removed the filter. Here in the rear you just have to push one clip. A good tip is to push the fuel filter first towards the fuel line and then push and pull them apart.
So.
You can see the rear clip which is push to release, and then at the front here has a locking as well. So you first have to pull the outer part and then you push on this side. The new fuel filter can only be mounted one way. As you see, there's a connector here at the back. Push the fuel lines in and make sure they're on there properly. And then we can put the covers back on. And use some protective glasses as well, so you don't get any fuel in your eyes.
On our YouTube channel you can find lots of videos on how to take care of your Volvo. So subscribe to the channel and you can watch them later.
Now I can change the air filter, and it sits in this box that you open by unscrewing the Torx 25 screws until they are loose. It's not possible to remove them, so just screw them until they're very loose. And then we can lift the lid and remove the old filter. This one isn't that super bad, but we're still changing it out. And I'll give the air filter box a quick clean so the new filter will stay fresh longer. And then we just put the new filter in and close it with the screws. And now the engine's air will be cleaner. It's time to make the cabin's air cleaner as well. Let's change the cabin filter. It's very tight down here, so I got this small camera to show you. I'll start by removing these two Torx 25 screws, one on each side. And then we can take out this whole panel. There's a twist to open latch over here, as well as another one over here. And then you have the last one at the very end here. And now we can remove the old dirty filter and replace it with a new one. This new one that contains silver to kill the bacteria so it stays fresh for a longer time. You can find the link to that in the description. This orange part should be towards the front. So let's push the new air filter in and put the lid back on. And don't forget to put the kick cover back as well. This was probably the hardest part of the whole service. Not the nicest job to do, but it will still make a difference in the car. Now we need to fill in the service book with the current mileage, date and of course the stamp. And I also like to write down exactly what I've changed on this service. And as you can see on the previous one, it's super easy to see and keep track on what's been changed and not. And now that's done, it's time to remove the service message on our iCoff diagnostic tool. Go through these steps here and make sure we put the ignition on. Reset oil level, reset the service message, and there we go. Now we're done with the service.
Do you want to see another video from us? Click up here.